He was crossing the river Styx in a raft made of cast iron and bricks. For a paddle, a runcible spoon. As an aid to navigation, he brought an Alsatian and a jar to catch beans from the moon. In a Gladstone bag made of stag's hide and string, he carried the most unusual thing. In a jar of formaldehyde sealed with brass pins, the stillborn fetuses of Siamese twins. He'd packed them to take after a simple mistake whilst reading his stars in the paper. It said Gemini's child would be born running wild and prove invaluable in this caper, so he took that to mean, to interpret the dream, that the embryos would prove a good guide. But the astrologer lied, was struck down and died, leaving our poor sailor with a harbinger from hell. The bag of dead babies was starting to smell. He had no charts, no maps, no notes about currents, nothing about ebbs, flows or tides. His intravenous was leaking, his diabetes was peaking, and the raft had no front, back or sides. The dog got the willies and jumped over the side, taking with it the rum and sultanas. He was tempted to go in to rescue the gin until he saw the fucking piranhas. But he never lost faith, never gave up hope. His windsock was full and he still had the rope. His theory was rusty, but he was wearing a tie as he looked the tornado straight in the eye. There on the far bank the reaper awaited, shouting through a megaphone in Latin, something about life, death and mortality, and how it's all taking a statin. About life being nothing but joyless subsistence, about giving up the struggle and throwing in the towel, as he continued to lay on the misery with a trowel. But our hero wasn't beaten yet as the currents pulled his vessel to shore. He ducked when the reaper tried to chop off his head and poked him in the bollocks with his oar. He began to paddle like there was no tomorrow, which for him was technically true. This was the last day, his last hours. The mourners had already chosen the flowers, picked the eulogy, the epitaph and hymns, had the stone cut and scratched on his name, carved in the dates of birth and death, chosen a patch of soggy earth, dug a trench, dedicated a bench, hired a hearse and ordered some grub, had a whip round for a bar tab at a wake in a pub. Surely there was nothing else but to go quietly. He was crossing the Styx in a raft made of bricks, for a paddle a runcible spoon. The reaper there beckoned, but the ghoul hadn't reckoned for this little life-loving fool. He wasn't ready to go yet, he needed more time. He wasn't willing to give Hades his soul. He was no spring chicken, but he was still alive and kicking and up for some more rock and roll. He began to paddle like there was no tomorrow, steered away from the bank and the midstream flow, dug in with his paddle and headed towards the falls. The reaper looked peeved, still nursing his balls. But just then the brick raft began to break up, shattering our hero's hope. But no, says him, I won't give in, I've still got a chance with the rope. Then the bloody Alsatian appears, with a grin as wide as a dish, carrying the rum and sultanas. The only dog in the world with a taste for fish. It's only eaten the fucking piranhas. So he lassos the dog with the rope of hope and it pulls him back to the shore. He gives it a pat as he walks up the grass towards Nirvana's door. As he wakes slowly, his mind in a dream, surrounded by men wearing tunics of green. They speak to him softly, great words of wisdom uttered to his ears, warm reassurance dispelling his fears. They've got away with it this time, he hears them say. You'll live to die another day. But heed our words, no ifs or buts. We've had to whip out half your guts. So do the right thing and a new life choose. Cut out the fags, the red meat and the booze.